Hi, welcome back to Centennial Roots Homestead. I'm Kristen, and today we are going to cover a really neat topic, the Crunchy Mom Medicine Cabinet. Now, if you have been around herbs a long time, or if you're brand new to herbs, you know that it can be overwhelming because every herb is good for about everything. So the Crunchy Mom Medicine Cabinet is the top 10 medicinal herbs that I would recommend that you have in your medicine cabinet to pull out for both kids and adults. So my goal with making this top 10 Crunchy Mom Medicine Cabinet guide, sometimes when you're on the homestead, you might have a non-emergent urgency. You hate to drop what you're doing and run into an urgent care and emergency room. Don't get me wrong, they have a time and a place. But if your kiddo gets a sting or a burn or a bite, that hurts. That's an urgency to them, and they need something to fix that rather quickly. And so we have remedies that we can have on hand that we can just grab and go, and we can cure that bite or that sting or that little bit of bleeding that's going on. That's what this is all about, is what to have at that urgent moment when it's not really time to go on in to seek medical help. So number one in your Crunchy Mom Medicine Cabinet might be something like mullein. We've done some more in-depth videos on mullein recently that you can look at. We will tag those in the description. But one thing that I love mullein for is if you've got small kids or grandkids in the house and they have that 2:30 in the morning earache, that's a problem. That gets the whole house up and awake. And so a mullein flower oil can be placed eardrops in the ear and calm that pain almost immediately. Mullein is great this time of year for the leaves and the flowers. Those yellow flowers on that single stalk are blooming. So it's easy to run out, grab some of those flowers, let them dry, and then place them covered in olive oil to steep for 2 weeks in a sunny location. Once those yellow flowers have turned translucent, then you can sieve those flowers out and retain the oil, and it's ready to use as an earache drop. You place 3 to 4 drops in the ear as needed, and that will calm that earache down immediately. Mullein is also known for its great upper respiratory properties for cough or congestion, tightness like asthma or inflammation. There's a great cough syrup that you can make. We have done a full video on mullein and its uses in several recipes, and we will link that up here or down in the description for you to take a look at if you want that in more detail. We also have a lot of other spring medicinal weeds that we have done some videos on as well. So mullein will be my top one just for that reason, because earaches and coughs are pretty common in kiddos and adults alike. Number 2 that made my list is peppermint. And the reason I chose that is because it's usually readily available. It's pretty much impossible to kill, so every homestead can have mint growing somewhere outdoors. And mint or peppermint is very, very good for fever. You have that middle of the night fever come up, you're a little bit hesitant to maybe use some of those pharmaceuticals. You can run outside, grab some peppermint leaves, and these just by themselves, even dampened a little bit and placed on the forehead or the temples, will help lower a fever significantly. The other thing that you can do that will help both internally and externally is to make a peppermint tea. And that's simply pulling off the leaves, placing them in a cup, covering them with a cup or so of boiling water, letting that steep for 10 or 15 minutes, and then drinking that cup of tea. That will cool down even a high temperature rather quickly without causing any ill side effects. So number 2 on my list would definitely be peppermint. It's also great because it can be combined in lemonade for a nice summer drink of mint lemonade, or with elderflower. Several ways to use it just because it tastes good and it's very refreshing in the summer. So definitely plant you at least one form of mint, if not 6 or 7. There are all kinds of mint, and I really enjoy using all of them in different things. Like ginger mint. Number 3 on the list is calendula, and it's that nice pretty flower that you see blooming this time of year. It is fantastic for rashes. any kind of rash, from diaper rash to an irritation from a poison or a bug bite. And that's very easy to use because you can actually just go and get the calendula flower and rub it on the spot that is the problem, or you can make a calendula salve out of that. We did do a video on a dandelion salve, and all salves are pretty much made the same way, with the exception of just exchanging out the herb. So we will link a recipe down below for you to follow as far as with calendula and the beeswax and how to make that salve and use it. Don't forget, you can find all of this in written instruction on our blog at centennialroots.com. We will link that down in the description as well. So don't feel like you've got to be jotting all this down. This is just a brief overview, but all of it will be listed in detail in our blog. I will tell you all that coming up with the top 10 is very difficult. And so next on my list was a tie between lavender and basil. And these can be used, are the best two to use for a bite or a sting. Again, either one, if you've got lavender or basil or a combination of the two in your garden, if you get a bite or a sting, you run, you grab some of the leaf, you put that on the bite or the sting, and that helps almost immediately. You can make a tincture out of it because, hey, bites and stings can happen in the winter as well. So if you've got a tincture in your medicine cabinet on your shelf, you can run and grab that and use it, and it works just as well. Tinctures, again, are pretty similar in that you take your herb, your lavender, your basil, or that combination, you cover it with vodka, you let it steep for 4 to 6 weeks, then you remove the herb and you store that tincture in a cool, dry place. It will last up to a year. So whether or not you use the fresh or the tinctured, both will work fantastic. So lavender or basil for stings and bites. Next on the list is kind of an interesting combination, and that is fermented garlic honey. And that's very simple to make. It's best if you can find local raw honey, but you'll take your garlic cloves and simply put those in your honey. Make sure that they are submerged completely in the honey and let it set for 4 to 6 weeks. Now, the garlic is good for a myriad of things, but the one thing that I'm using the fermented garlic honey for is diarrhea. And that seems a little bit unusual, but if you have diarrhea as an adult or as an older kid that can tolerate garlic, and now when you have the garlic in the honey, it does lose that really strong flavor and becomes pretty mild. So even smaller kids will enjoy it. But you chew one of those garlic cloves or just take a teaspoon of honey every couple of hours, and that will actually subside the diarrhea. So that's a great one to have in the cabinet. If your kiddo just will not do garlic, just do the honey. You still get the great benefits from that fermented garlic, and that will slow down and stop the diarrhea. And to go along with diarrhea, it usually doesn't come by itself, so you may have a lot of gas or colic symptoms with that. So another interesting herb to add into that is ginger. And ginger can be found as a ginger root in the stores. I generally every year will just buy ginger root, the organic, at my local big box store. This can be planted and then it grows throughout the hot months. And then at the end in the fall, you can harvest that root. And what I do after I harvest the root is just usually grind it up and keep it in a dry place in a mason jar that's sealed tight. And I can use just the ground ginger whenever I need it. But it's a fun one to grow. It's neat to watch it grow. So if you can, it's nice to have it out in your garden. But otherwise, you can also just keep it inside in the medicine cabinet and have it. And we'll link down below the different dosages for the different age groups. But ginger is fantastic to stop any gas or colic symptoms. Next Crunchy Mom medicine cabinet ideal herb to have is chamomile or German chamomile. If you've got a kiddo that has teething pain or has trouble sleeping, maybe a combination of the two, German chamomile is your answer. And if you grow that, then when it's ready to harvest, when the flowers are big and beautiful, you simply pick those flowers off, set them on the counter to dry, and then keep them in a mason jar in a cool, dry place. If that kiddo is starting to have teething pain or trouble sleeping, you take a level teaspoon of the flowers, Place them in 3/4 of a cup of boiling water, let that steep, strain the flowers off, and then have that kiddo drink some of that infused tea, and that will calm them down, calm the tooth pain down, and help them get to sleep. So German chamomile is absolutely one of the top 10 to have in the Crunchy Mom medicine cabinet. All right, the next one you may or may not have heard of. It does grow wild in our area here in Zone 6B or 7A. Comes in many different colors and is fun to have in your landscape. Even if it wasn't medicinal, I think I would grow it. It is a perennial, so it comes back every year and it gets bigger and bushier and pretty, and it lasts all season long. I'm talking about yarrow. This yarrow I have up close to the house. And the fantastic thing about this is that the flowers or the leaves both can be used to stop bleeding. Fantastic for that. If you've got something that is bleeding, you simply take the flowers or the leaves, masticate or crush them up, mash them up really good, and place them on that area that is bleeding. And that will slow and pretty much stop the bleeding just right away. So if you've got a kiddo out running around, you step on something sharp, a sharp rock, you need that bleeding stopped. You don't really want to run to the emergency room, not necessarily need of stitches. Grab some yarrow, put it in that wound, and you'll be good to go. Number 9, medicinal and culinary, is thyme. There are several different kinds of thyme. Again, it's a perennial, so it comes back every year. My thyme here has flowered. But thyme is great for colds, coughs, and congestion. So if you've got that summer allergy thing going on and that cough is disruptive and you're wanting to get some good sleep, or you're just tired of coughing throughout the day, just making a thyme tea is very beneficial. Again, you're just going to take the leaves, you're going to steep them in some hot water, strain off the leaves, and then drink that. And that will calm that congestion, that cough, and you'll feel much better. The good thing about herbs is that it's really, really, really hard to overdose. You're not going to do that. So you could drink a cup of thyme tea every hour if you needed to, and that would calm everything down. So number 9 is thyme. Number 10, another medicinal or culinary herb, is lemon balm. And this one is great for chicken pox or cold sores, anything like that. You can simply make a tincture or a tea of lemon balm. You can actually place the leaves directly on those sores. It seems to work a little bit better if it's been steeped in some water, and then that placed on the cold sores or the chicken pox or that kind of thing. But that will calm down the itch and the irritation right away. So lemon balm, very prolific, as it is a lot like mint and will spread. You might want to keep it in a container, but lemon balm is a fantastic herb to have, and that's why it made number 10 on my list. Now, while those were my top 10, I couldn't stop with that. There are several more that are very nice to have on the homestead. I think of comfrey for a sprain or a broken bone, dandelion for stings or bites, elderflower for that sore throat or that cough or congestion. So many more, so many uses for so many things. Plantain is another great one that grows wild again here in our zone, 6B, 7A. You can go out and either pick the broadleaf or the narrow leaf. If you've got a rash develop, you don't know what's going on, grab some plantain, crush that up, chew it up, stick it on that rash, and it resolves very quickly. Another thing that may not be in your garden but would be in your cabinet is olive oil, and that's fantastic for cradle cap. So many out there. Be sure to follow along on our website, on our blog, centennialroots.com, or on YouTube for more of our videos that we're putting out, and we'll show you more recipes with how to use more things that you can find in your backyard. Thanks for joining us today, and follow along to see more informational videos.